some teams that are not having quite as much fun right now when you talk about their quarterback situations is Auburn and Florida. And I've separately addressed both those, but I want us to address them together right now because I think there's a lot of similarities too. Two high expectation kind of fan bases, two major brands in the sport, two fan bases also that, speaking of expectations, like they want some ROI. Like Billy Napier in his third year, this is a year where Florida fans are like, okay, show me this is going somewhere. Show me that there's hope. Show me there's direction here, because that Miami game, that wasn't cutting it. And then Graham Mertz goes down with a concussion. DJ Lagway steps in, does numbers like Goodwill Hunting against Samford, and you're like, whoa, hey, okay, that looked different. That looked very different. Should he be our starting quarterback? In fact, you have a very large portion of the fan base saying he should be our starting quarterback. Now for Auburn, they're like, hey, Payton Thorne, man, you threw 4 picks against Cal. We're double-digit point favorites. Losing at home is unacceptable. Like, what are we doing here? And we've seen this movie now for the better part of a year. So both fan bases, I believe, from what I've heard now, Florida's calling for DJ Lagway, Auburn's calling for Hank Brown. And I want to be very clear. This take around both of those schools, neither of them, or the take in general, is not regarding either backup quarterback. I think both of the future at their respective schools, quite frankly. DJ Lagway, the best quarterback in America from the most recent recruiting class. Like, he's going to be special in Gainesville. Hank Brown, the fact that he won that quarterback 2 job should tell you a lot about what he has under the hood. Right? The guy's a ball player. Again, I think when it's his time to spin it at Auburn, he's going to have a lot of success. I love both those quarterbacks. However, given the current circumstances for Auburn and Florida, I don't think it's the correct move right now, knowing what we know, to make a pivot. Florida Gator fans, Auburn fans, if you have not yet subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel, would love to have y'all here. A lot going on around both your schools right now, around both your football programs. Going to talk a lot about it, so make sure you're locked in so you don't miss a minute of the coverage we have for you. The best way to do that, by being subscribed. So let's start with addressing Florida. Here's my problem with saying that DJ Lagway should be the starter at Florida. The take I continue to hear is, well, hey, it gives Billy Napier the best chance to keep his job, gives him the best shot to stay the head coach at Florida. And to me, that is just the epitome of a loser mentality. You want to start a kid because you think it's going to help the head coach keep his job? When did it not become about winning? Now, if you think with all your heart of hearts, DJ Lagway gives Florida the best chance to win football games, great. We can have a discussion about that. I'm all for it. I see the logic. I think the mobility is there. The arm talent is obviously there. He lit up Samford. You love the progress. That's another discussion. But if your take is solely, hey, it's his only chance to keep his job, loser mentality, total loser mentality. For me, this year has always been for Florida about getting to 6 or 7 wins. If it's 6, it's got to look like the right 6. If it's 7, I think his job is safe. So you're telling me that you would rather go with the true freshman quarterback as opposed to the 6-year starting quarterback, or the 6-year quarterback who's started already a year for you in the system. Say, well, hey, JD, you saw what he did against Samford, right? Went up for over 400 yards, 100%. It was super impressive. Again, the concern for me in even doing this segment is it sounds like I'm taking something away from a DJ Lagway. That's not the point at all. The point is, Graham Mertz also went for over 400 yards against South Carolina. Graham Mertz also had a really good year last year, throwing for only 3 interceptions, 20 touchdowns, over 3,000 yards. Make no mistake, I think Graham Mertz, if he stays healthy, you take down a top 10 Missouri team on the road. I think if you have a healthy Graham Mertz, this is really a woulda, shoulda, coulda, but I think you have at least a better chance to beat Florida State with where they were at that point in the year. Let's not pretend that Graham Mertz hasn't shown you some really good things so far. Now, does DJ Lagway have to have a role? Absolutely. If Graham Mertz really struggles and he proves that he is not the guy that gives you the best chance to win football games, okay, let's make a pivot there. That's another conversation. But knowing what we know now, I think it'd be irresponsible to not go with the known commodity. Any take that says, well, hey, it gives him a chance to keep his job, loser mentality. Loser mentality, and I think it should be all about winning this year. I think having Graham Mertz back for another year proves it should be about winning this year. I don't want to hear about, well, eventually he's going to be the guy. Yes, of course he's going to be the guy. That's a huge reason why he's not going anywhere, is DJ Lagway this year. I know there's this talk around, well, if Billy Napier gets fired, what happens with the transfer portal? You go win football games, and then we'll have that discussion. If Billy Napier's still the head coach, then that point doesn't even have to be talked about. All right? So I think the Graham Mertz discussion, anything that doesn't have to do with winning, to me, is just we're not aligning here. Again, if DJ Lagway, if your opinion is he gives you the best chance to win football games, great. Let's talk about that. And I think there's some merit to that as well. So that's another conversation. Now, for Auburn, the thing that I keep hearing is like, JD, we know who Payton Thorne is. We've seen it for 13 games. Because I went to bat for Payton Thorne keeping his job on, I guess it was Monday, and I said, hey, listen, it was one bad game. You need to have a little bit more of assessment of why they made him the starting quarterback to begin with. You didn't go to the portal. Like, he's your guy. There's a reason why he's your guy. And the pushback I got was, JD, this isn't one game. This is the 13th game we've seen. And what I would say is, okay, it's the 13th game you've seen of Payton Thorne. Maybe like when you go to his game log on ESPN, maybe. It's 13th game he's been an Auburn Tiger. That's true. Is it the 13th game you've seen Payton Thorne with actual weapons, with a not dysfunctional offensive scheme, with him actually having spring football? No, right? This is the second game you've seen of that. Okay? So for Payton Thorne, for me, the thing is always like, let's not be knee-jerky based on one bad game. Now, does he have to be your guy the rest of the way till death do us part? Not saying that. Not saying that at all. I said it on Monday. I'll say it again. My approach to the Payton Thorne situation would be, hey, let's go ahead and give him the New Mexico game. If we have problems with New Mexico, hey, this discussion changes pretty drastically, okay? So we'll leave that there. Give him New Mexico. Give him the first half of Arkansas. And if everything is good, first half of Arkansas, Auburn scoring points, offense looks good, okay, let's roll. Because I totally agree. The offense is way too talented, too many skill players to not have a guy at quarterback that can distribute the football. But again, I think one game against Cal, with the situation that he's in right now, I'm not even really counting last year, to be real. I think you account for it, but I don't think you make it like the narrative around Payton Thorne is, well, last year plus this year. You have to take it into account, but I don't think it's the end-all, be-all when you factor in. Like, to say that you've had 14 games now, 13 games of Payton Thorne, I don't think that's true. I think you have 2 based on this year. So give it a little longer to bake. Give it a little longer bake to the folks in Gainesville as well. I'm not saying this is the end-all, be-all. If there is a reason to pivot that is punching you in the face, then do that, okay? But right now, I think it is irresponsible to make that change in week 3 of the college football season. That's my take. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.